"Father, I told you!" Prince Lucius cried in exasperation. "I have no interest in any of the noble women." The morning sun beat down on Lucius' wavy golden hair from the elegant windows spaced out around the grand throne room. His lean arms were crossed over his broad chest as he stood defiantly before his father, wearing an elegant royal suit in deep black and crimson red. "My son, you have a duty to carry on the bloodline," his father, King Alaric, snapped, his tone irritated as he sat upon the royal throne, surrounded by the elegant cape he wore. The argument had gone on for weeks. Lucius did not want to marry any of the noble women, finding them all irritating in their perfectly rehearsed manners and pristine elegance. They were all so fake. He knew he must marry, but he wanted to wait for the right woman. The argument was suddenly interrupted by a loud thump and the sound of coughing. A woman had appeared from thin air and fallen onto the marble flooring of the opulent throne room, and as Lucius laid eyes upon her, his breath caught and his heart thumped wildly in a way he'd never experienced before. She was the most gorgeous being he had ever laid eyes upon. The woman was tall, and her body held the subtle undertone of muscle, hinting that she was in good physical shape. Her chestnut hair flowed down to her waist in a smooth curtain, half pulled into a high ponytail on the right side, while the rest flowed over her left shoulder. Chocolate doe eyes that seemed to carry an impossible depth of emotion sat behind black-rimmed glasses with a strange distance to them, as if she were seeing something beyond this reality. Her full lips were painted a deep red and pressed tightly together. Her face was girlish, making her seem almost young and innocent, and her features gave no clues as to her origin. She looked as though she had come from another land entirely. She wore an odd sense of fashion as well. She wore a black tank top with a purple corset made of lace layered over it, black lace sleeves leading up to a matching collar. A blue skirt whose shape swooped to points around the hem had the golden Ohm symbols painted on it, peeking out from beneath a layer of sheer purple and velvet black material, fluffy black petticoats beneath it all. Black fishnets hug her legs, accentuating their shape. Several necklaces hung about her neck, with a tie that matched the golden navy bow around her waist. A silver chain also hung around her waist, accentuating the shape of her hips. 3 rings, black, gold, and silver, sat on the corner of her lower lip with multiple piercings on her ears. A black and red choker encircled her neck with a silhouette charm on the front ruffles. An hourglass-shaped earring dangling from her right ear with an assortment of rings on her fingers that seemed to accentuate her long nails in mismatched shapes and colors. Lucius couldn't look away, his crimson gaze sweeping over the woman as if he were gazing at an ethereal being. He felt something inside of him stir, a possessive part of himself that he almost couldn't ignore. "Who?" he says almost breathlessly, taking an involuntary step toward the woman. "Are you?" I'm Sonoria." The woman's voice carried an unfamiliar accent, a lilt that added a strange gentleness to the uncertainty in her tone and made Lucius' heart skip a beat. "Can I ask where I am and, how I got here?" "You are in Everland," Lucius responded, his gaze studying the way the woman held herself with grace despite the caution and uncertainty in her expression. "Kingdom of Crows." Nero, his crow familiar, paused suspiciously from Lucius' shoulder as his crimson gaze took in the way the woman's mismatched jewelry caught the morning light filtering in through the stained glass windows of the throne room. These windows depicted the history of Everland, showing every battle fought and every sacrifice made by his people. They served as a reminder of the pride and responsibility carried by the royal family. "You fell from thin air, as if summoned by fate itself." Lucius breathed, almost in awe of the mysterious woman. His black cape, lined with crimson silk, swept behind him as he stepped closer. Did you mean to do that? Crows, symbols of wisdom, the woman whispered under her breath, something like fascination crossing her features before she looked up at Lucius and the king from the floor of the throne room. No? Sonoria shook her head softly, her gaze earnest and clearly full of uncertainty, a confusion of sorts. She was clearly disoriented. I don't know how it happened. I was just walking in my hometown. Your hometown? The king repeated with a note of suspicion as he leaned forward on the throne. You mean you are not from this kingdom? No? The woman's voice was tinged with uncertainty as she replied. I'm from a place called America, if that helps. There aren't any kingdoms where I'm from, aside from England. America? England? The names were foreign to Lucius, the uncertainty in her tone sending a pang of possessive protectiveness through him. And in this America, Lucius said the name as if testing the word on his tongue as he stood towering over where Sonoria sat on her knees with those layered skirts surrounding her. Is it often that beautiful, mysterious women fall from thin air? No. This isn't something that happens where I'm from. The woman replies awkwardly, looking up at Lucius and glancing between him and the king. There was an awkward pause before Sonoria quietly added, Usually. Lucius' gaze stays riveted on the gorgeous woman, studying her for signs of any lies or deception. Nero lets out an almost scoff-like caw from his shoulder. The air is so thick with tension you could almost cut it with a knife. The king, on the other hand, is trying to maintain his composure. With a forced calm, he clears his throat, speaking up for the first time in a low tone. Lucius, step away from her. Lucius' gaze snaps from Sonoria to his father for a fraction of a second, a flash of defiance and anger in his eyes. The idea of being ordered away from her sets something off within him, a possessive instinct that makes him want to dig his heels in. And why should I? He asked coldly, tone dripping with a challenge. He makes no motion to move away from the stranger, still scrutinizing her with that same sharp and awed gaze. The king shifts in his seat, his own expression hardening at Lucius' defiant tone. Because she is an unknown woman who just materialized in our midst with powers unknown. You have no idea what she is truly capable of. Lucius grits his teeth, his grip tightening on his dagger. His gaze snaps back to the woman, lingering on her rings and the strange distance in her eyes once more before he snaps back to his father. She fell from the sky, father. She is clearly harmless. To be fair, I'm not entirely sure what I'm capable of either. Sonoria spoke up quietly, that unfamiliar accent adding to the uncertainty in her voice as she glances between them with an apologetic gaze. Lucius' gaze flicks back to the woman at the sound of her voice, his expression not losing any of its intensity as he regards her words. There's a flicker of something unreadable in his expression, a mixture of curiosity, desire, and that possessive hunger as he takes her in once more. The king shifts again, his patience clearly wearing thin at Lucius' insolence. See, she even admits it herself. She is an unknown, dangerous variable. I am sorry for the unexpected intrusion. I'm afraid I'm just as lost as you are on the matter. She spoke again, her voice gentle and full of uncertainty as her hands clench in the fabric of her layered skirts. Do you have any idea how I could possibly get back home?